I'd like to give a summary of our operations this year. We were able to help 41 farm families that had major injuries or illnesses, and we had a very successful year in that the weather was also cooperating with us. It was a nice planting season, nice harvest season. Matter of fact, we just wrapped up all our cases about a week ago prior to the weather hitting, and we returned all the RDO equipment company sponsored equipment except this combine you see out here, which we're on standby in case any other last minute cases come in that we can help yet.
110 years ago, mechanical farming was in its infancy. Our land was farmed with steam engines, horses, mules, and oxen. It was 110 years ago that our very first successful gasoline tractor was ever built. If any of you have heard of a Hart Parr, Charlie Hart and Charlie Parr built the first Hart Parr in 1902 in Charles City, Iowa, forever changing the landscape of farming. 110 years ago, Edwin Meredith created something that only went to 500 homes when it was first introduced. Today, that item goes to over 1 million people a month. It was a periodical designed to educate the farmer on the modern products and methods being introduced to the rapidly changing industry of farming. That item was a magazine called Successful Farming. How many of you get Successful Farming? And it would help if you just all raised your hands. Our special guest tonight has lived and breathed successful farming in one way or another for most of his career. I'm not saying our guest speaker is 110 years old, but he has been there for quite a while. As a magazine editor myself, I look up to those who can rise against the challenge of the changing publishing world and those who actually do the job because they are passionate about the industry that they write about. Our guest speaker tonight isn't just a magazine editor, he's one of us. He's worked the land, lived on the land, watched technology change, and helped millions of readers become better farmers. He began his editorial career in 1970 as a 4-H extension editor, and he quickly worked his way through the ranks to join the Meredith Corporation in Des Moines, Iowa. In 2007, he received the Agricultural Future of American Leader in Agriculture Award, Oscar in Agriculture Award for career contributions to agriculture, American Agriculture Editors Award, Communicator of the Year Award for the National Corn Growers, and many, many more. Although he has been with Successful Farming magazine for over 30 years, he has served as the editor-in-chief for the last 23 years. He's watched the average tractor size on the farm go from 80 horse to probably 300 horse. He's watched moldboard farming go to minimum tillage farming. The industry of farming has changed, and he changed right along with it. He's recently turned over the reins of the editor of Successful Farming so he could enjoy his retirement with his wife and children in Ankeny, Iowa. And his replacement will have some big shoes to fill. We're glad that his retirement didn't just consist of kicking back in an easy chair. His passion for agriculture is evident in his work and in his presence with us here tonight, less than 1 month after his retirement. It is my honor and privilege to introduce to you one of my peers in the industry, Mr. Successful Farming, Loren Kruse.
Oh, wow, bless you. I'm going to take you everywhere I go. I am really pumped up. Unfortunately, you set the bar high here now for me to live up to that. Wow, thank you. This is a place to be tonight. I'm so honored. I drove up here partway yesterday in those high winds. Did you see any photographs of the semis blown over on the road in Iowa? And 711 miles, and it is absolutely worth it. I'm so excited to be with you. It's always a pleasure to be with what I call big-hearted and big-thinking and big-doing people, which all of you are. It is a special privilege for me to celebrate with you the advancements that you have seen in this past year in farm rescue and to be part of this wonderful annual celebration tonight. I am here primarily as a print journalist and a small farmer. As a print journalist, it really makes me a better listener and observer than I am a speaker. I'm more at home behind my computer than I am this lectern. I promise you I am not a farm broadcaster. I have no voice for that, but I do enjoy being with and learning from all of you. I'm not going to talk this evening much about economics or farm policy or things like that, even though I do hold college degrees in those areas. My father made sure that I would have no credibility as a practicing agricultural economist. He is a man who made it farming 50 years with less than a sixth grade education, yet managed to sell the family farm to me, the son with 3 college degrees, right near the top of the land market in 1980, before it fell about 50% in value in the mid-'80s. Some of you here are actually old enough to remember that period in our history. I want to first take a moment to thank all of you farm rescue volunteers and donors and supporters and everyone that has in one way or another contributed to the success of this group who have met needs, particularly those who've had some really tough, unexpected crises they have to face in their families. I hold the highest admiration for all of you for what you have done and will do in the future as this goes forward to help ease the burden of people who really do need a very special helping hand. Bill, you are a wonderful example of what I say, one person with one idea that can catch fire and grow to be something extraordinarily beneficial to society. And most of all, I thank your friend, your old college roommate who was the one person, Bill with one idea, one vision, one dream, one person I'd say God put in the right place at the right time to give Bill the encouragement to launch it now. Why wait? Go do it. Be successful. You remind me a lot of, in fact, of the founder of a group that I was quite close to and served on the board of for 10 years called the Fellowship of Christian Farmers. Thomas Herlong, the founder of that group, a farmer from South Carolina, in that tough period in the mid-1980s, was with farmers at the American Soybean Association annual meeting and discussing the tough times and the stress, and there was one person there, the executive director of ASA, who said, "I'll find a room for you, and I'll put out the call to everybody at this convention who would like to come and just be part of some new organization that became then the Fellowship of Christian Farmers." Perhaps you are familiar with it through farm shows or elsewhere. I retired last month as editor-in-chief of Successful Farming after 23 years. And over my career, I, like you in your work, have had to spend more time with my mind in the future than I would like to necessarily have to do. But that's part of what you have to do, is you have to confront what will be coming at us down the road. But in the months leading up to my retirement, I especially reflected back a lot and spent more time reflecting on the past and how we got here as an industry. Jerry mentioned some of those great advancements that we've had, and really what I have learned through all of that. In a few moments, I want to specifically talk about the generous hearts of people I have known around the industry of agriculture who love agriculture and love people. Before we do that, let's take a quick little journey here down a path that might be a bit different than any other path that you've thought of as we would review any period of time. All of you I know in this room, knowing agriculture, are familiar with risk and uncertainty, of course. But I'd like to introduce you to another term that's increasingly evident in our very rapidly changing industry of agriculture. And that's a term I call unreality. And unreality is something that nearly everyone in this room would say simply could not happen. That if it did, it would be unreal. So with that as sort of a little backdrop here, I've titled my talk tonight, Serving Agriculture in a World of Virtual Unreality. Let's list some examples now of what I mean by unreality over just the last 3 decades. In June of 1982, for example, it would have been totally unreal for a speaker at a meeting like this to predict that land prices through most of the Midwest and plains would decline 50% or greater over the next 3 years. Or in the autumn of 1985, that crude oil prices would fall from $33 a barrel to under $10 a barrel by early 1986. Or in early October 1987, that the stock market could fall 45% in a matter of weeks. Or in August of 1989, that the Soviet Union's domination of the Eastern Bloc countries would totally dissolve by Christmas. And the next one is my favorite because I just happened to be there personally to witness it. But that would be early August of 1991, 21 years ago now, that in a few weeks, the totalitarian control by the Communist Party in the Soviet Union could so quickly and nearly peacefully be dissolved after 74 years of tyranny. Or in 1992, to think that the internet would be the dominant communications channel within 5 years. Or in early June of 1995, to think that the price of corn on the Board of Trade would double, going from $2.60 a bushel to $5.20 a bushel 1 year later. Or in May 1997, this one's going to be painful for some of you, when Chicago Exchange lean hog futures were at 86 cents, to think that by December 1998, the value would have fallen nearly 70% to the lowest real value of the entire last century. Or who in February of 2004, as a little social network was launched out of a Harvard dorm room, could have imagined that more than 1 billion members of Facebook by September 2012. Or who in April 2007, when Chicago wheat was at $4.12, could imagine in only 8 months, by February 2008, the price would be at $13.34. Or that by December of that year, the price would have fallen so quickly again to $4.55 a bushel. Or who in July of 2008, when crude oil was rocketing over $145 a barrel and experts confidently predicting we would never see $40 oil again, could imagine a waterfall decline to under $35 a barrel by Christmas of that very same year. Or in June of 2010, when nearby corn futures were at $3.25 a bushel, to expect just 1 year later that the price would top out at $7.99 a bushel by June of 2011. Or on December 19th, 2011, when Chicago soybeans were trading at $11.31, that by September 3rd of this year, prices would peak at $17.74. Or for those of you who are from areas where the land market is really heating up, which of you would know a person who actually bought a farm in 2006 and did so predicting with confidence that it would be a slam dunk that land values would appreciate from 100 to over 150% in value in just 6 years. And finally, who of you back on October 19th of 2005 could have imagined yourselves sitting here tonight, October 19th, 2012, with a group such as this, with hearts such as yours, celebrating this wonderful and new farm rescue? Well, anyway, that partial list I just read for you should give you a picture of how often and swiftly and dramatically that our unrealities become our realities. Well, what I want you most to remember about unrealities, however, is that astoundingly positive changes are just as possible as negative ones. And you, especially as leaders and influencers in agriculture and in your communities, must believe, like Bill Gross and the Board of Farm Rescue does, in your abilities to create significant positive outcomes, no matter the virtually unreal world in which we live. Our world is swimming in so much unreality, in fact, that we've had to create reality TV shows as a counterbalance to all that. Do you know that in the world there are more than 600 reality TV shows now? You know what I'm talking about. Shows such as American Loggers and American Pickers, The Biggest Loser, The Apprentice, Deadliest Catch, Dating in the Dark, Dirty Jobs, Farmer Wants a Wife, Undercover Boss, Ice Roads Truckers, and Say Yes to the Dress, which I have to watch occasionally with my 18-year-old daughter. So in a world of virtual unreality, let me ask you this. What exactly is success? Have you thought about it? What metrics do you use other than a dollar sign to measure success? What specific performance values and core life values guide you in your achievement in not only farming or your career work, but in all aspects of your life? You know, success in any endeavor, as we all know, does not come easy. And I guess that is why success is rated as the number one most coveted result that all of us desire, according to one research study. The road can sometimes be shockingly difficult to get there. One of the greatest preachers of all time, the late Adrian Rogers, said this about our journey through life. Quote, "There are three kinds of people: those who are in the middle of a storm, those who are emerging from a storm, and those who will soon be in one." No matter your career or success, it is not unusual to encounter times when you wonder how in the world you will ever work your way out of a certain situation. Author Mark Harrison says successful people are simply those who understand that there is little difference between a problem and an opportunity. What is a problem for one person is another opportunity for someone else to step up and help. As the editor-in-chief for 23 years of a magazine with the word success in its title, I'm asked every now and then what success really means these days, and I'm always pleased to answer this way. Success is simply doing the best that you can with what you've got. Now consider this. Each farm in America has different resources. Each farm and each person has different circumstances. Each person has different God-given gifts and abilities. The ultimate measure of success is how we use those gifts and abilities from Him and then tenaciously improve upon them to make the most of our resources and our circumstances within our lives and all of our activities. That's all that matters, as long as we are totally honest with ourselves in assessing how well we are doing at that, and helping others to equip themselves to better succeed as well. Over my career, I've observed successful farmers, because that's, after all, what Successful Farming magazine is all about. I've studied very carefully what makes successful farmers successful. Over the years, finally, as I've retired, I identified 12 specific attributes that I use to describe what I consider to be a successful farmer. Many of the attributes that I admire in successful farmers, I believe, apply to all of us, no matter our vocations or pursuits in life, such as founding, organizing, and succeeding in a new organization effort like Farm Rescue. Tonight, I want to just briefly lift up to you just 3 of those attributes. And I do that because they fit each and every one of you who are here tonight as volunteers, donors, supporters in some way to Farm Rescue. First one is this: successful agriculturalists remember who threw them the ball. You know, Adrian Peterson is a great running back for the Minnesota Vikings. Some may even consider him to be the best running back in the NFL. But you know what? As great a player as Adrian Peterson is, he can't gain 1 yard nor score 1 point until someone else gives him the ball. So always remember, as you do, who hiked you the ball. Every person on this earth owes it to those who, people and groups that have made a significant impact in our lives, to pay them back in some appropriate way. We should do everything we can so that others who come after us can continue on, maybe to another generation on the farm, and have those same personal and life-building experiences. Some people and groups that obviously come to mind for all of us include our parents, our grandparents, and teachers in schools and church and 4-H and FFA and similar organizations. By paying back appropriately, I mean with our love and gratitude, time, knowledge, money, whatever it is that we have that we can offer to others. One of the easiest ways to do that is simply by imitating their lives, especially in service to others. And get this, research clearly shows that you'll be happier and healthier for practicing generosity. And I hope all of you can feel that in your hearts. Number 2, successful agriculturalists are encouragers of others. By nature, many people find it easier to speak negative thoughts than positive ones. I call it a coffee shop mentality, and it certainly is the general rule in the little coffee shop near Des Moines where I sometimes have breakfast. But the positive thoughts and influence of achievers are badly needed in our communities. I urge you to be known as a person who lifts up others and provides much encouragement to a world that cries for positive leadership, starting at home. One of the most positive and influential ways to be an encourager is simply to show up and be positive. I'll give you an example of something that happened to me, and it was right here in Bismarck in 1985. This was as the sort of depression of the mid-'80s was happening in agriculture, and believe me, as the editor of a farm magazine, you get so much mail, so many phone calls from people who are truly in despair and feeling the pain. And it really was wearing on me. But I'd been invited to be a speaker to a young farmers organization here in North Dakota, and so I came, but reluctantly, not wanting to be around more negative people and to feel the pain that they had. Instead, and I believe it was at this hotel, I cannot say, but I remember it had a wonderful swimming area, and as I walked in, here were these young farmers and their wives and kids, and they were splashing around the pool and feeling good about things. And as I spent time with them right here, I was lifted up, I was renewed, I was given another recharging for a positive attitude of my own, simply because they were positive. Number 3, successful agriculturalists know as much about standability as any professional agronomist does. Now, every activity we are involved in, from work to volunteerism, includes 2 outcomes. One is the measurable outcome. It's how much it's the results that are measured in one way or another in dollar signs or bushels or acres, or in the case of farm rescue, families served. The other outcome I call the joy of the journey. That's how much you enjoyed your time and experience in the effort to achieve that measurable outcome, as well as the joy you get in simply doing that journey with people you know and like and admire a great deal. Successful farmers that I have observed and admired have the same high attributes that are desired in corn hybrids that farmers plant. Research of corn growers by Successful Farming found, and this is no surprise to all of you who grow crops, but found that there were 2 attributes that stand out above all the others, of all the things you would want in a corn hybrid. One of them is high yield, of course. The other is standability. So high yield is to corn as high competency is to you as the farm operator that wants to achieve that high yield. But the other attribute is standability. And that's what I describe as your strong character. And the one way you express it is how you respond to strong desire in helping others who face extraordinary difficulties. You can't see this picture, and you don't need to. There are 18 farmers in this picture. It was taken in 1952. I was in kindergarten and got off the bus after attending kindergarten for half day in the morning, and on our farmyard were dozens of people, and they were at our place to harvest our crops that October because my father had had some serious surgery and health issues. All but 2 of them are dead today, but I've kept this photograph in my office every single day where I can see it and be reminded of how big-hearted and how responsive all of our readers, farmers, can be to needs of their neighbors and others across America who are in some difficulties. My mother's dad, my grandfather, was a country preacher his whole career and served the many farm families around the church that sat in the middle of Lincoln Township, just a mile north of my family farm in Grundy County, Iowa. My dad, the local farm boy, married the preacher's daughter, and they moved there and stayed there 50 years. He died before I was born, my grandfather did, but my mother told me that he always said that the real mark of a good Sunday morning message, a sermon, is not what you hear on Sunday morning, but what you think about while doing chores on Monday morning. So as you go about your activities Monday morning, back on your home soil, in your jobs, careers, whatever activities you have, it would be most pleasing to me if you would remember this from my short visit tonight. This closing word is not for you, but for all of those who have not yet experienced the joy that you have as a volunteer and supporter of Farm Rescue. This lesson was taught to me by my 3 older sisters. I give you permission to use it if you wish and it fits, and I call it learning to share the goose money. Now here's what I mean. Our little farm in Grundy County, Iowa is very diverse back in the 40s and 50s. We had not only cattle and hogs and milk cows, but we had ducks and geese and chickens and everything. There was little sources of income all over that farm. My 3 older sisters, the youngest of which was 10 years older than I am, were in charge of the ducks and the geese on the farm. And when I got old enough to know such things, remember I was 10 years younger than they are, I found out that I had a little savings account in the Grundy National Bank from money from the Goose Enterprise. My sisters, even though I was the little brother who probably disrupted the Goose Enterprise more than anything, shared equally and gave me a quarter share of the Goose Enterprise, even though I had done nothing to help with it. So I call that learning to share the goose money, which simply means this: it is giving something to somebody you don't have to. You do it because you want to, out of your heart, your time, your money, something that really matters. If you need more of a bit of leverage to convince a neighbor or friend to join the Farm Rescue team, here is the ultimate convincer, okay? It is from the world's very best book on responding to the right way to deal with a world of unreality filled with people of all types of various needs. And I hope it gives you both hope and comfort to ask others to join you in this great farm rescue effort. It is from Isaiah 43, 18 and 19 of the Bible's Old Testament, where it gives you this call to action. It says, "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the desert and streams in the wasteland." And finally, I hope that each and every one of you feels truly called to this and can inspire others to do likewise. Farming in our industry of agriculture is more than a job. It is a calling of purpose and significance and meaning. And in case you doubt that at all, let me share with you the number 1 definition of vocation found in the Merriam-Webster Unabridged Dictionary. It says, quote, "A summons from God to an individual or group to undertake the obligations and perform the duties of a particular task or function in life. A divine call to a place of service to others in accordance with the divine plan." May God bless you and all those who will join you in this effort of farm rescue as you advance and further expand your impact to people in true need in rural America. Thank you for the honor of letting me be with you tonight.